I raised and adopted my stepdaughter, but she said I was too working class to walk her down the aisle. I skipped the wedding, until she begged me to come after her rich bio dad ruined everything. Hello Reddit I+ here. My name is Victor Hale. I'm 54 years old, and for the last 2 decades, I believed I was building a family that would stand the test of time. I believed in the strength of love, in loyalty, in the bond between a father and daughter, whether by blood or by choice. But one sentence from the girl I raised as my own shattered everything. This is the story of how I refused to be humiliated at her wedding, how my wife stood beside me, and how her so-called real father destroyed the fairy tale she thought she wanted. I met Clara when I was 34. She was 30, divorced and trying to rebuild her life after walking away from her first husband, Derek Vaughn. Derek was a toxic, arrogant man who believed belittling his wife and neglecting his daughter was the definition of masculinity. Clara had a little girl, Sophia, just 5 years old at the time. Derek had vanished when she was barely 3, tossing them aside like old clothes. No child support, no birthday cards, no effort. He simply disappeared. When I came into their lives, Sophia clung to her mother like a lifeline. She was shy around me at first, but I never forced myself into the role of dad. Instead, I was just there, reading bedtime stories, cooking Sunday pancakes, cheering her on at soccer matches, sitting through every school play no matter how small her role was. And slowly, she opened up. One night, when she was about 7, she whispered, "Good night, Dad." I'll never forget it. I went into the bathroom afterward, looked at myself in the mirror and cried. I never had biological kids, but in that moment, I knew I didn't need to. She was mine. When Sophia turned 10, Derek willingly signed away his parental rights, I suspect because he didn't want to be bothered, and I officially adopted her. On paper and in my heart, she became my daughter. Life was good, until Sophia turned 16. Out of nowhere, Derek resurfaced, and not just as the same old Derek. No, this time he was dressed in designer suits, driving a Mercedes, flashing wealth like it grew on trees. He claimed he'd changed and wanted to make up for lost time. I wanted to slam the door in his face. Clara wanted to as well, but Sophia was curious. She wanted to meet her biological father, the man who had abandoned her. I swallowed my pride and stepped back thinking, if she gets closure, maybe it's worth it. At first, Derek played the perfect act. He showered her with expensive gifts, jewelry, designer clothes, the newest phone every year. He took her on expensive trips, bought her a car at 17, whisked her away to Paris after graduation. How could I compete with that? I was just a middle-class electrician. I gave her stability, love, and commitment. But Derek gave her glitter, and glitter can be blinding when you're young. Slowly, she drifted. She still called me Dad, but sometimes, too often, she slipped and called Derek my dad. Each time was like a dagger. Clara tried to talk sense into her, to remind her who stayed and who left, but Sophia would just say, "You don't get it. Derek's changed. You two are just jealous." By the time Sophia was in college, Derek had taken over. He paid her tuition. He invited her into his world of wealth and status. Holidays, she split between us and him. More and more, we got the scraps of her time, but I clung to hope. I told myself that one day, she'd see who he really was, that maturity would open her eyes. Then came the engagement. Sophia was 25, marrying Ethan Ward, a nice enough guy from a well-off family. Clara and I were thrilled, until 2 weeks before the wedding. Sophia sat us down at the dining table. She looked nervous, but her words came sharp. "Dad, Mom, I've decided I don't want anyone walking me down the aisle. It feels outdated. I'm a modern woman, and I don't like the idea of being given away." I wanted to argue, but it was her wedding, so I smiled, forced calm into my voice and said, "If that's what you want, sweetheart, I respect it." But something gnawed at me. Clara saw it too, and then, a few days later, the truth came out by accident, during a meeting with the wedding planner, who casually mentioned, "So Derek will walk Sophia down the aisle from here." I froze. Derek? The planner looked horrified, realizing the slip. That night, I confronted Sophia. She didn't deny it. She didn't even look sorry. Instead, she crossed her arms and said with a coldness I'd never heard from her before, "Look, Derek is my real father. And let's be honest, you're not. And Dad, no offense, but you're too working class. This is a high-end wedding. I don't want to feel embarrassed in front of Ethan's family." Those words burned. I managed to whisper, "That's the cruelest thing you've ever said to me." Her reply? A shrug. So I told her, "If that's how you feel, then I won't be at the wedding at all." She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just nodded and said, "Do what you want." On the wedding day, Clara stayed home with me. She refused to go. "If the man who raised her isn't good enough to be there, then neither am I," she said, tears in her eyes. Relatives called us selfish. Friends said we'd regret it. But my heart was done being trampled. And then the phone calls started. Apparently Derek had shown up to the wedding already tipsy. By the reception, he was outright drunk. His speech was a disaster. Slurred jokes, crude comments, inappropriate digs at Ethan's family. Then came a shouting match with Ethan's father about who paid more for the wedding. Guests walked out. Some relatives said Ethan's parents looked mortified. And then, my phone rang. It was Sophia. She was sobbing. "Dad, please, you have to come. Derek is ruining everything. Please, I need you to fix this." I listened in silence until she choked out, "You abandoned me today. None of this would have happened if you were here." That's when the anger finally broke free. "No, Sophia. Don't you dare put this on me. You made your choice. You wanted Derek there because I wasn't good enough. You wanted glitter instead of gold. Now you get to live with what glitter really looks like when the shine wears off. Don't call me to clean up his mess." And I hung up. Then I turned off my phone. Clara and I sat on the couch that night, the house silent around us, angry, heartbroken, but strangely relieved. For the first time in years, I realized the truth. I had done everything a father could. It was she who chose to throw it away. That night, after I hung up the phone, Clara and I just sat in the living room. The only sound was the ticking of the clock on the wall. My wife was holding a half-empty glass of wine, staring into nothing. I sat there with my fists clenched, replaying Sophia's words in my head like a broken record. "You're too working class. You'd embarrass me." I'd faced insults before, from bosses, from strangers, but never from the girl I raised. Clara finally broke the silence. "Clara, she called you, didn't she?" Me. Nods. "Yeah, she was crying, begging me to come fix what Derek destroyed." Clara. "And what did you say?" Me. "I told her the truth. That this is what she chose." Clara set down her glass. "Good. Because I almost picked up when she called me too. But then I thought, why should I save her from herself? She threw us away, Victor. For him, for the first time in a long while. I saw fire in Clara's eyes. Not sorrow, but resolve. The next morning, the phone was full of missed calls and unread messages, some from relatives scolding us for skipping the wedding, others from Sophia's bridesmaids telling me how everything went downhill. Apparently, after Derek's drunken outburst, Ethan's family almost pulled him aside to reconsider the marriage. Guests whispered. The reception emptied early, and by the end of the night, Sophia was in tears, while Derek staggered out with a woman half his age clinging to his arm. When Clara read the messages, she laughed bitterly. She got the father she wanted, Victor, the man who always puts himself first. Later that afternoon, there was a knock on our door. When I opened it, Sophia was standing there, makeup smudged, still in her wedding dress, though the hem was dirty and wrinkled. Her mascara had run from crying, and her voice was hoarse. "Sophia, Dad, please, can we talk?" I froze. For the first time in years, she called me Dad without hesitation. But the word felt hollow. Clara stepped forward before I could speak. "Clara, you've said enough, Sophia. The man who raised you wasn't good enough for your big day. So what are you doing here now?" Sophia's chin trembled. "Sophia, I made a mistake. Derek, he embarrassed me in front of everyone. Ethan's parents, they think I don't know how to control my family. I need you, Dad. I need you to fix this." Her eyes were wide, desperate, like the little girl who once held my hand crossing the street. But behind those eyes, all I could see was the young woman who told me I was an embarrassment. I swallowed hard. Me. "No, Sophia, you don't get to throw me away and then pick me up when it's convenient. I raised you. I loved you. I was there when he wasn't. But you wanted Derek because of his money, his image, his glitter. And now you've seen what glitter really looks like. Messy, fake, temporary." Her tears fell fast. "Sophia, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it the way it sounded." Me. Cutting her off. "You meant every word. And it broke something in me that can't be put back together. You wanted him to walk you down the aisle? Then let him stand by you now." Sophia crumbled on our doorstep, sobbing. Clara, with tears in her eyes too, whispered, "Clara, go home, Sophia." And then, we shut the door. That night, Clara curled into me on the couch. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally she whispered, "Clara, do you think she'll ever realize what she's done?" I kissed her forehead. Me. Maybe. Maybe not. But we can't keep waiting for her to come around. I gave her 20 years of my life. If that wasn't enough, nothing will be. I stared out the window at the quiet street. For the first time in decades, I didn't feel like Sophia's father anymore. Not because I stopped loving her, but because she stopped letting me be her dad. It was like mourning someone who was still alive. Weeks passed. Word spread through the family. Some relatives whispered that Clara and I had been cruel for skipping the wedding. Others said Sophia got exactly what she asked for. Sophia herself texted me once more, "Dad, can we meet? I want to fix this." I read it 3 times before replying. "Sophia, I'll always care for you, but I can't keep being the backup plan when Derek fails. Until you understand what you did and why it hurt so deeply, there's nothing to fix. And then, I put my phone down. It's been months since that wedding. Clara and I have found peace. Slowly. We travel more, spend evenings together, and focus on us. As for Sophia, she's still married. I hear Derek hasn't changed a bit. He comes and goes, disappointing her every time, just like when she was a child. Maybe one day she'll finally see through him. Maybe she won't. But I've learned something. Being a father isn't about biology or money or appearances. It's about sacrifice, love, and showing up every single day. And I did that for Sophia. She may have forgotten, but I never will. So when people ask if I regret not going to her wedding, my answer is simple: no, because she made her choice. And for once, I made mine too.